The Managing Director, Samuel Donko of STC, Intercity STC, is calling for reorientation of staff for them to be honest and sincere and avoid cutting corners.
The strategy is the short-term, medium and long-term. The short-term, we're going to have private partnership. As and when we get on our feet and being very solvent, then of course the partnership will be what? Will be graduated and be going off. But for now, we'll require the support of the private partnership in terms of getting the fleet, in terms of giving a working capital, and in terms of giving us the support to bring in diagnostic equipment and other equipment that would enable us to get our own parts locally.
Intercity STC coaches years back used to be the preferred choice of transport for many Ghanaians traveling either to school or their hometowns. The once vibrant company now seems to be a pale shadow of its glorious past. But the question is, the current state of the company, the result of bad managerial practices or lack of investment into its operations. Is this what the problem really is? My name is Stephen Anti, and this is today's big story. Let's get back onto the phone lines now and speak to Mr. Hope Kofi Klu, who is the local junior staff chairman of the Intercity coaches. Good evening. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us. I'm told that we have Douglas Mensah, he's the president of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us on today's big story. Hello, sir. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Hello?
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's big story, sir.
Hello?
If you can hear me, Douglas Mensah, I'm saying welcome to today's big story. I'm afraid I think we're finding challenges hearing Douglas Mensah. We're discussing STC and the call by the managing director for private partnership to bring STC back to its glorious past. The question is, STC has faced a lot of challenges, including debt, managing debt with Prudential Bank and staff of STC going on strike. There are a lot of issues affecting STC now. The question we're asking is, what would it take for STC to come back to its glorious past? Let's take a listen.
We need to capitalize the company, and we need to retrain and reorientate, the staff. People must be honest and sincere. This issue of trying to cut corners and put money in our pocket to the detriment of the company should be the thing of the past. We should all know that we should have our destiny in our hands. We either move and stay alive or we perish. In fact, we're going to computerize a system that every bus will have a maintenance schedule. So if your bus is supposed to come for maintenance 1 week at a time, the system will show and you'll be required either to come to the head office or to the various stations for the maintenance. Maintenance is going to be very, very strict so that we can have value for money. We are going to find a way of ring-fencing by talking to our creditors and see how we can deal with this problem. It's part of the issues that we're handling.
Well, let's get back onto the phone lines and try and re-establish contact with Douglas Mensah, who is president of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us on today's big story. If you can hear me, I'm saying welcome to today's big story. Right, I think we're facing some difficulties establishing contact with Douglas Mensah. So if you can hear me, sir, I'm asking you to just, if you can hear, STC has been a kind of a stain on the transport sector for a long time now. A transport company of its nature which collapsed and then trying to revamp it. What will it take to bring STC back on its feet again? Right. I think Douglas Mensah is not hearing us. My name is Stephen Anti. This is today's big story. We'll be right back and we will try and get to Godwin and we'll continue with our conversation. Stay with us. Right, let's now get onto the phone lines again. This time, try to speak to Samuel Nyama Donko, who is the Managing Director of Intercity STC Coaches Limited. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening.
So, I mean, you're taking over STC at a time that it's being particularly very difficult for the transport company to stand on its legs. What are your plans to move this company forward and perhaps take it back to where it used to be in its glorious past?
Thank you very much. We have a challenge on our hands in terms of overcoming those challenges and be able to put the company on an even keel and to recapture our position as the major transport company in the country in our quest to contribute our quota towards national development. We had a brainstorming session this morning, and we have outlined three main points as a basis for our transformation. Number one, we're going to have an innovative strategy to change the attitude of our staff. We're going to train all our staff for them to understand and appreciate the challenges and the way forward. Number two, we need to have a strategic partner through a private-public partnership arrangement to be able to give some form of a system or arrangement where we can have buses, equipment to do diagnostics for our buses and even those outside our jurisdiction, and then be able to run an efficient fleet. Then lastly but not the least, we'll also have to put in place an innovative marketing strategy. When we were formed in 1909, we used to have a monopoly. Today, we have competitors. So we need to do things differently to be able to cope up with competition and at the same time regain our position.
Mr. Donko, you've clearly outlined, one, that you want to focus on changing staff attitude, you want to get on board private partnership, and then you also want to engage in strategic marketing. Are these three measures not too late?
Not at all. It is better late than never. We find those challenges as the limitations, but I can assure you we have a role to play in the socio-economic development of our country. And we think that, notwithstanding the challenges, we have to face the storms and be able to move. After all, it is said that calm waters do not produce experienced sailors.
So, I mean, when we look at your ability to compete in the current vibrant transport market, it's not easy, really, for you to be able to get to the front as you've been back for a long time. STC has a lot of debt, has challenges with staff who protest against one thing or the other. Salaries are not paid on time. Do you not think that perhaps it's time for everybody who has a vested interest in STC to forget it, scrap STC?
Not at all. On the contrary, I think that this is a time for us to accept the challenge. We were talking about our debt stock. I mean, which entity hasn't got challenges? It is our ability to manage the situation that makes it what we are. We are talking about level 5 management, all right? So we have to look at how we can restructure our debt stock. Number two, look at the assets that we have. Chief, which transport company has got the widest spread as we have? Which company has got the assets that we have? Those who are competitors, they don't have even a quarter or even 1/8 of the assets that we have, and yet they are competing and they are working. So why can't we?
So you're confident that you can put in place measures to resustain STC so it won't die out?
My consolation is the fact that there is so much passion from the workers. The workers want to prove to the whole world and our skeptics that we cannot be part of the companies that have gone to the business cemetery. We have the ability and the capacity to be able to overturn the scales.
So Mr. Nema, if I am interested in taking over STC, what would you as managing director tell me? What picture would you paint for me in terms of your debt, in terms of how profitable your company is? How will you convince me to come and invest money into your company?
Well, we have developed a strategy. You see, in this world, even if you are a poor man, and you are able to come with a business plan to somebody or even go to the capital market, they will look at your marketing plan and your business plan, and once they are convinced, after all, the capital people are they are buying and selling money and taking the profit, and they are interested in supporting people who can prove that when they are giving the money or the resource, they can pay back and they can make that profit. That's exactly what we are talking about.
Right, Mr. Nyomadonko, I'll keep you on hold briefly. I have on the telephone line Godwin Douglas Mensah, who is president of Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. We've been trying to speak with him, but the lines to him have been very bad. So, Douglas, if you can hear me, I mean, STC has 3 key strategies they want to put in place to resuscitate the company. 1, change staff attitude, embark on aggressive marketing, and also attract private-public partnership, you know, so they can get new fleet of buses, new equipment and logistics. Do you think this strategy can work?
Thank you very much, and thank you also for giving me the opportunity. You see, in a transport company, a passenger transport company, there are 2 areas that we are supposed to look at. 1, the operational aspect, and then the financial.
Mr. Mensah, if you have your television set or something close by, if you could turn down the volume slightly, we're getting feedback which is interfering with our conversation.
Okay, yeah. Hello?
Yes, sir, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Good.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I was talking about having 2 strategies in transport operation. You need to look at how best are you operating, and you look at fleet utilization. You look at fleet utilization, and you look at how the vehicles are put on road and they are able to bring money. And you also must look at the fuel economy. You know,
yeah.
So when someone gives you money to operate, he expects that you bring some what we call the return on capital. You see, so these are some of the areas that you'll be looking at. But what we need to be looking at is whether there is a fleet replacement planning for this organization.
So who should be responsible for this fleet replacement that you talk about? I just told you earlier.
The organization has to. It's the organization that has to have fleet replacement planning.
Right, but the question I put to you earlier from the beginning was that the company, as the managing director told us just a while ago, now have 3 strategies. 1, change staff attitude. 2, bring on board private sector involvement like private-public partnership. And 3, embark on an aggressive marketing strategy. Are these 3 measures not enough?
Yes, you know, even for all these the managing director has outlined are very beautiful things. But I bet you to bring a strategic partner to join you to handle this organization, they will have to be sure that they are not going to throw money into the drain. So, like you said, staff attitude is also very important, and they need to do a lot of work, giving them training, making sure that they are doing the right work. And I bet you there is an international regulation, what we call bar staff ratio. You know, there's certain ideal situation. There is a certain situation you have to match the number of staff against one bus, which we call bus staff ratio.
Right.
You have to be finding out how many workers are there, and STC does not even have the bus. So you'll be seeing that maybe there are too many workers who are there. And the question is whether we are ready to do a structure. You restructure the organization. In fact, the restructuring, you will have to lay off from certain people. You see, so if we are not ready to bite the bullet, I think these things will just be on paper. So
yeah, I'm listening, sir.
So we'll be sure that, like I'm saying, we need to have a timely replacement of overage vehicles. And we must also have improvement in maintenance. we should also have a reduction in accident rates and all this, you know, and training of staff, like we are saying. In fact, you see, a lot of people walk into maybe the organization without reorienting themselves. It is very different of selling transport services as compared to selling tomatoes on the market. So you have to reorient the people. They must know that time is of essence to a transport operator. And so when people queue up and they want to buy a ticket and the person who sells tickets are not there, I don't think they will come back to work with you.
Do you, Mr. Mensah, have confidence that STC can be saved? Must it be saved?
STC is a giant in the transport industry. Why do I say so? They have a spread all over the country. It is left for them to use the facilities that they have. But in fact, I was telling someone this afternoon that, in fact, STC terminals are now too old. And so they need to be refurbished and put them in good shape so that it will attract passengers, because terminals are one of the keys of transport operation. And so if you have these things, and ICC is a big organization which has all this spread over the country. If they work well, why not? They should be able to revive this organization.
Right. Thank you very much, Godwin Douglas Mensah is president of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. We still have on the line the managing director of STC, Intercity STC, Samuel Nyoma Donko. So, Mr. Donko, you heard the Chartered transport person talking about the fact that STC needs to start thinking about revamping, redecorating their terminals to make it more attractive. Are these things that you are considering, and how much money do you need to make this possible?
Thank you very much, and let me thank my very good friend Mr. Mensah for his intervention. Mr. Mensah spoke about the operational efficiency of a whole setup. You see, when we talk about the training and we're talking about the fleet management, it also takes into account the operational, strategy. You cannot run an efficient system if you don't take into account the maintenance, schedule, spare parts. It's a whole lot. What I've just indicated is the strategy we want to put in place, but the details can be given out. And I think Mr. Mensah was harping very much on the operational, efficiency. This is something that we need. We, as a company, are going to be very, very, very careful as far as managing those fleet is concerned. But I can assure you, this talking about even giving a branding to our stations, these are part of our plans.
Okay.
You cannot attract investors if you don't have a plan that will fly. And I can assure you, without any fear of contradiction, that we know where we are going. You see, it is important that people understand the issues. Chief, there are challenges, but if there are challenges, you should also know that calm waters do not produce experienced sailors.
Right. Okay, so are you able to tell us how much money you need to make STC wake up from its slumber?
We are in the process of developing the blueprint. We've already done some good job. We are talking to our strategic partners, and I can assure you very soon I'll come back to you and let you know exactly what the details are.
So it means that you haven't costed yet?
We've done some work. We have not gone before the board, and therefore it will be premature for me to talk about it.
Right.
Already.
So how confident are you that anyone would like to invest in STC? I'm particular about that because you have debts that you're still managing with Prudential Bank. I'm not sure the last time I checked whether you still owe Prudential Bank up to 40 million. But how are you going to balance this debt against what the investors are bringing on board?
Every investor knows, every serious investor knows about the situation in STC. What I'm saying is that if you are able to tell your story, if you are able to put in place pragmatic programs and policies, which people will get to know and buy into, it doesn't matter the limitations that you have. Yes, we do have a huge debt stock. We do have limitations in terms of operational efficiency. But I'm saying that taking into account the kind of resources that we have and the passion of the workers and the plan, is all about leadership. And leadership is not about Nyoma Donko, it's about leading the people, giving them a leadership of integrity. It should be, at the end of the day, people who are working with me should not even seen that I'm out of the office for the past 1 week because we have shared responsibility. People know that STC is for themselves. It's not for Nyamadongo. It's not for one person or the other.
You sound very confident. Tell me, I mean, what should you be judged by? I do know that STC has had a lot of changes in leadership. Now you are the new boss. You're taking over a company which is challenged. You have said it yourself, which needs revamping. You need a lot of partners to come on board. This is a company which many people would shy away from taking over. What should we judge you by at the end of your term?
Well, I will leave that to the public. We know the situation on the ground. People are describing STC in certain adjectives: ailing, depressed, unconscious, or even comatose. Let's leave that one to the people. After 3 months, I am sure people will see the changes and they can make their own judgment.
Right, we're very grateful, Samuel Nyamadongo. If Douglas, you're still on, I'll wrap with you. So, Douglas, okay, yeah, I'm told Douglas is off the line. My name is Stephen Anti. This is today's big story. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with the rest. Stay with us. Welcome back to the interactive segment, and I have with me Marian Toure.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you too?
You look sweet.
Do I? Thank you. Like candy floss?
I don't want to say like anything. What's up?
Well, I wanted to ask you, do you live near a church?
Ooh. Are you talking about near a church? The church is inside my house.
Why?
I tell you, no lie. I don't want to say it. But yeah, I mean, if you live near a church, it's different. But if the church is inside your house.
You mean inside your house, as in the service
takes place let's say
in your house?
Your
landlord owns the church.
Your neighbor or something. Man, it can be deafening.
Really?
You cannot sleep.
Okay.
You cannot rest. You cannot stay at home. You cannot receive guests.
Well,
you cannot even be on the telephone.
You know, the Ghana South Municipal Assembly says that now it is going to make it mandatory for all the churches to soundproof their buildings.
I don't think it will work.
Why?
Well, I don't think it will work. I am not too optimistic about that.
Really? We're hoping that at least they can start something good with this one.
It will be good, though.
They've said so many things before. It never happened. So hopefully this time it will happen.
I think they should jail people who make that kind of noise. Anyway, let me leave you to consider all the rest.
You're very extreme. Welcome to JN Interactive. My name is Marian Toure. Well, welcome back. If you're just joining us, what I'd like to tell you is that if you live in an area where churches abound, chances are that you already know the phenomenon that we are talking about today. But before I delve into it, I'd like to announce all the social media tools that you need to get in touch with the show. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/joinnewsontv. You'll find us there, send all the comments, and we would amplify your voice by sharing it with the rest of the world. We are on Twitter, and we tweet at Joy News on TV. That is for the Joy News channel. But we have another Twitter handle for the show. It is JN Interactive GH. So you can direct your tweets to either Joy News on TV or JN Interactive GH. We would take all of them within the show. And if you're sending us an email, it'll be joynewsim@multitvworld.com. And our new WhatsApp number, I'm sure most of you are happy now that at least you get a dedicated WhatsApp line for JN Interactive. And let me hammer it, it is just for JN Interactive. So if you have any comments about any show that show up on that, they would not be read. It is only for our interactive community, if you can call us that. And the number is 0540109009. So you have that, but we have actually posted it on Facebook also. So if you don't have that saved in your contacts already, you would want to bookmark us, add us, and then send all your comments, because we will share them with the rest of the world. And here on JN Interactive, this is where tech meets news to set the agenda. Yes, so Welcome back, and I already said it, that if you live near a church, chances are that this phenomenon you've already, experienced it. But for many of residents who live in Accra, the presence of churches in their neighborhood is just a source of worry due to the level of noise emanating from the church. But the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, have over the time received several complaints from residents about the level of noise coming from the churches into their homes. But now the Ghana South Municipal Assembly has directed that the churches, within its jurisdiction should install soundproof systems in their churches to minimize the level of noise that they produce. So I have that story, and that story was actually in one of the newspapers. I'm hoping that it will pop up right now so that we can all go through it. It is should be on your screen right now, and so that you will see what exactly I am talking about. And that was actually in today's Ghanaian Times, and I'll read just a little bit of it for you. It says churches within the Ghana Municipal Assembly have been given a 21-day ultimatum. So if you are in a church that is within that jurisdiction, you have been given 21 days, to fit, soundproof mechanisms, if I can call it that, in your church. And this actually follows complaints from residents within the municipality. And the Ghana South Municipal Chief Executive, who is actually in the person of Jerry Akwe Thompson, would be talking to me shortly when this one rolls over, and he'll be helping us to understand what has actually prompted this directive. So I'm hoping that he will be on the phone and then we can talk to him. We've also been out there. Sarah, as always, goes out there to pick your brains on the issues that are trending for the day, and you've also been sharing your thoughts with us in our video blog. When I'm done with him, we'll play some of them, and I'll take some of your comments that have been coming in on Facebook and also on WhatsApp. So I'm hoping that Mr. Thompson will be on the line. Hello? Hello, Mr. Thompson? Hello? Well, I don't think he's actually on the line, but if you're just joining us, I'd like to recap what we are talking about. And the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and Environmental Protection Agency have, over the past few months and years, received several complaints from residents about the level of noise that is actually coming into their homes from the churches. So the EPA and AMA Joint Task Force have decided, the Ghana South Metropolitan Assembly have joined forces to say that they're giving all the churches within these areas 21 days to fit soundproof mechanisms in their church, just to allow the neighbors some sleep. Mr. Akwe is not on the line, so we'll go and take our first video blog. Sarah has been out there, and she's been asking you what you think about this. We'll take our first video blog.
At the back of my house, there's a church. Right from Wednesday to Friday, you will not have sound sleep. They'll be disturbing throughout. With churches, I don't know. They can never minimize the noises that they do.
To me, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea because of the noise, especially within residential areas.
When you go to some areas, the noise from the churches, wow, is very, very bad. Very, very bad. Especially if you are not a Christian, you see it as, you can't even sleep in your room.
When the church is going on like that, at times it increases the noise around the neighborhood, and maybe somebody has closed from work and the person wants to rest, or he has some assignment that maybe you want to work on it. And it's like maybe if it's closer to the church, at times if the church, they are, let's say, having their praise and other stuff, it can distract the person. And at times it brings frustration, although they are praising God too, but there's time for everything.
They making noise at all that work is the best, trust me, because maybe you are in a residential area and it's past 9 and you can still hear people making noise all in the name of all night. Fine, it's good, it's God's work, but then you don't have to make noise and disturb others. What if there are Muslims around too? But the Muslims, they don't disturb we Christians, so we don't have to do the same with them too.
We all have different churches, different beliefs and different religious systems, so if every church would want to disturb their neighbor or someone who is not, who doesn't want to listen to what is going on in their church, it's not the best thing to do.
unanimous decision. You all have a problem with it, so I'm hoping that in our quest to actually serve God, we will not harm our neighbors, because even the Bible says we should do unto others what we would they do unto us. But we're still trying to reach Jerry Akwe Thompson, and I was hoping to actually, ask him what prompted, them to actually, come up with this directive to finally go ahead and then implement it. And more often than not, the bylaws by the assemblies has always, been seen as a challenge actually implementing it. So I was going to ask him how he would go about, actually implementing this particular one, because if you could hear what Steve was actually saying, he thought it wasn't going to happen. So we wanted to find out the mechanics of the application, and whether the directive would only apply to churches and not drinking bars and pubs and all those spots, because it's not only the churches that are making the noise. You live in an area that has a bar 3 a.m. when the university chicks have got their weekend off and they are jamming, you cannot sleep. And sometimes even having access to your home has become a problem. I live in a neighborhood like that. They would pack everywhere and you can't even access your own home. So we would have sought to ask all of these, and I'm hoping that we'll get him on the line. But whilst we still try to get him, I'll take some comments that have been dropping in on Facebook. And the question that we actually asked, we were asking whether you live in any of these neighborhoods and if you're comfortable with the level of noise, and that you should share your thoughts with us on this. And a lot of you have commented. Ayola Sunday Samuel says, if not church, it's a hotel or mosque. Okay. Jude says, yes, I think it's okay. Bernard Kwame Hart, there should be mutual understanding between the church and the community to control the level of, quote, noise. Though they worshiping God, they should consider those in the vicinity. Frederick Owusu, sometimes the noise is very loud before you're coping with it, because sometimes when you listen to the word of God, it gingers, okay, and inspires you, so you are actually coping, okay. Idris says, noise making is completely different from prayers. This is just noise making and not prayers. Majid Audu from Gushegu says, not only churches, Marian, there are so many activities around us which are also contributing to all these problems, instead of giving us peace of mind to think about our broken economy. Yes, and that was what I was actually factoring into, what we would have asked the gentleman if he was able to join us on the line, to ask that there are nightclubs and pubs as well, neighborhood ones, which are also making noise. Would he actually want to that directive to also be implemented on these outfits as well? So we're hoping that he can come on the line and answer our questions. Kofi Mensa says, what you consider noise perhaps has a regular frequency in someone's eardrum? George says, yes, it would help. Ali Al-Hassan, yeah, I agree with the Ga Municipal Assembly. The churches should get soundproof. Joshua, please, men and brethren, leave church alone and let the Satan leave you alone. This is very strange. We're not attacking any church. We're just saying that, okay, if the churches are making noise, and if the bars and the pubs are also making noise, then they should soundproof. And some actually bring the bars to the street. They're calling off a street and they're making merry at our expense. Baba Musa Tamale says the EPA must set up, because some churches are really creating too much nuisance in their operational areas. Jeffrey Prempe, Chia. This be what, Sutra? Really? Benzel says yes, but not all, especially those money-making ones. Okay, so you're thinking the money-making churches should be put out of business for making noise. Eric Zopito says, my area, okay, there are more than 4 churches in my area, and they are all on high volume. I don't know why churches are too many in the country. Well, they want to save souls that are perishing. Yeah, I guess that would be a great answer for you. Nuruddin, yes, it will help reduce excessive noise in our communities. Many MMDCEs should follow suit. Sometimes the noise is just unbearable. Afelete Benjamin, why not? They should even acquire no soundproof system. They are killing us with noise they make even at midnight. If God directs us to worship him, I don't think it is the manner of doing it. Abdullah Abdul Razak, it should not, it will not help, but to some extent reduce the noise. However, religious tolerance is vital to promote peace and unity. Daniel Pascal, how does the soundproof system look like? I need one in my house. What about mosquitoes? Oh, mosques. Sorry. How about noise? Mosques. Okay, I thought I saw mosquitoes. Can you imagine? The eyes actually play tricks on us sometimes. Okay, I'll pause here. We'll go and take our next video blog, and when we come back, we're still trying to reach Mr. Jerry Akwe, and then your WhatsApps have also been dropping. I'll pick them also. Stay tuned.
I think the soundproof would help reduce the amount of noise that is made in neighborhoods, and then would help everybody understand each other.
If all churches should use soundproof, it could be a good idea to help reduce the sounds and the noise in the areas.
The soundproof, I think, is the best. They should install it in all the churches so that the noise wouldn't have to come out.
Yeah, I can say it's a nice idea, it's a very good idea, but what if the church does not have any proper building that you can install that soundproof on? You understand? So for me, it's a very nice idea.
They installing that soundproof in the church, in the building. It's a laudable idea, so that they will not disturb other neighbors.
So if they are able to install this sound whereby the noise will be within the church premises, I think it's a good idea.
So I think with that one, if they can do something about that, as with the soundproof or something like, it will minimize the sound, the amount of noise that is coming into the area, so that maybe no one will get, distorted or something like that.
Mr. Jerry Akwe is still not picking his phone, but he did really agree to talk to us. So if you know Mr. Jerry Akwe, please tell him that JN Interactive on Joy News, we're trying to reach him. So he should please answer his phone and help us with some answers to our questions. Okay, we'll take some more of your comments that have been dropping in on social media, especially on Facebook. Abraham says, I fully support the idea because sometimes the sound is too much. And now for Roger says, a laudable idea that should have cut across the whole country. Derry Lois, Jehovah assured us to pray in silence. He, Jehovah, knows what we need. But I wonder why this mushroom pocket churches won't obey simple intrusion from God. That is so funny. Abuga Abdul, Abel says, I suggest they get a soundproof system for those who suffer it, and hence make sure all churches yet to be established are kept at a location that will not disturb people around. Aika Kwabena says they should include mosques and nightclubs, please. Okay. Kuda says it is absolutely true that they make noise and it is part of their worship, so we have to come out with the best solution to solve this in order not to infringe on their right of worship. Samora Owusuaje, it's a step in the right direction because some churches are noisemakers. Papa, come to my area, Akrade, and hear noise, Papa B. People who complain are branded as devils, which is very bad. Prince David says, these are policies, these are the policies we want them to implement. Apart from corruption, another problem with our nation is noise pollution. It's in the right direction, but not only churches, but to all. Okay, Joshua says, yes, 100%. The noise from the churches are too much. Only God knows. King Komla Salam, in selection of an accommodation, one thing I always consider is whether there are churches around, because they emit noise than even the bomb explosions. Really. Joy says, thank God for this. Samora again, from the churches, they should go to the drinking spots. And those who preach on the shoulders of the roads, they also disturb big time. Leo says, Joy, you are #1. Thank you. Benjamin, agree. Good one there to stop noise pollution. Matilda Sante says, like seriously? Yeah, Matilda, like yeah. Uchenna Tony says, Tommy says, sound of God, jaw, okay. Roland Yabo, fine boy, they should take care not to incur the wrath of God. Bismarck says, I personally think this is a very, very good idea, because I'm also experiencing this problem. Some churches nowadays are overdoing things too much, especially the newly established ones. I hardly sleep in the evening. Togan says, worshiping God is a great thing, and you need not to complain. Richardson says, yeah, it is true. They are making noise, especially Kumasi, South and Treso. In Shayaso constituency, from Monday to Sunday, non-stop evening service to 2 a.m. in the morning. They make noise a lot. God said we should pray to solve problems, but South pastors, okay, they shout a lot when they are praying to God. First church service time was Monday, Friday all night, and Sunday period. But nowadays, because of money matters, people use their schools to rent pastors at residential areas where private schools are being built. And please, the mosque is among. Hey, this is your bro for there. I hear you. They are the worst noise makers in the country. I'm sure that's what you're trying to say. Apia says, what about the mosque? Well, I am sure that perhaps with the mosque, it is when they are announcing prayers that you hear. I think I can vouch for the mosque at this moment that it is when a call to prayer, those 5 times a day that they call you to prayer, you would hear, you know, the address system actually calling people to prayer. But once they have finished, that's just it. But Christian church services, I can understand some of them brand own for hours, and the consistency of the noise could continue for all those hours that they're there. Honey says, what do you want your legacy to be? Okay. This is a very long one, and I doubt that it has any relation with this topic, so I'll move on. Franklin Kwajoyaboa says, the Bible said we should make a joyful noise unto the Lord. If we humans refuse to praise our Maker, the birds in the sky will praise the Lord. Okay, justification for the noise. Okay. Bernard, they are praising God. Leave them alone. Kelly Bliss, only time will tell. Ankoma Kofi Abu, not at all. Very worried. Christopher Scott, not only churches, roadside bars too. The regulations are there. Local assemblies have regulations, decibel levels. Enforce the levels, no need to soundproof. That somebody in the Ghana South have a soundproofing business. Soundproofing business, I think I'm catching on from where you're coming from, that perhaps somebody wants to make money, and so they're saying soundproof, and then somebody can go to China and bring all those soundproof stuff and will make money. If someone is in on that, please call me. Me too, I need cash. You know, maybe I can invest in that business and get my percentage. Larry Lava, Laroy. Oh, another talk that won't yield any fruit. Pursue them to do it, and same politicians will intervene. It is only Accra. What about the smaller villages and towns that goes through the same pain? Who goes after the churches to fix a soundproof? Chia. Wow. Wisdom says, yes, with cooperation from the public, we are ignorant in worshiping God. Okay. Rashid says, in fact, La Paz, there's so much noise, we can't sleep in the night. And Patrick Mensa says the noise is too much. Yes, okay. And I'll refresh this and get some more comments, but your WhatsApps should be dropping in a few minutes, and then I'll take them. I think They should actually be projecting on the screen right now so that you and I can go through them together. And our WhatsApp number, okay. I don't think our video has stretched so far beyond the boundaries, you can't see it properly. So you'd have to pardon us for that. We can fix this tomorrow and take some of your WhatsApps that have been dropping in. That's where I drop it for today. Stephen T is back, so we can wrap up the show together. But I think there's another one that is working now. Okay, this one says, I am at North Kaneshi, and there's a church in my hood called Divine Authority Church, and they always make noise. It's from Na Ayi Kole. Great move. I don't know whether without noise God would not listen to their prayers. From Musa Abattoir. I think it is a nice idea, but will they obey that? And that is from Barawo Abdul Razak, and that is all we are taking for today. Yeah, Steve Enti is back, so we can wrap up together.
Hey, what's up?
I'm there for you.
You don't live near a church, right?
I do.
Oh, so you have an appreciation.
I do, but I think it's only when they come for choir practice. But because I'm here late, by the time I go, they're almost done.
Miss all the fun.
Yeah.
You miss all the fun. Right, okay. So, stories to expect at 8 o'clock with Israeli. The new Patriotic Party's 2012 flag bearer has arrived in the northern region capital, Tamale, where the party is holding a National Delegates Congress to elect new executives to lead it into the next elections.
And also the Electoral Commission has outlined 4 main challenges. It says blighted its implementation of the Constitution Instrument CI 75 during the 2012 election. Despite the challenges, however, it says it remains the country's best body to deliver free and fair elections.
Well, so that's it. Stories you should be expecting.
Yes, but Gifty Ando-Apea is on the ground in Tamale.
Yes.
And so we should be crossing over live to us on News at 8 with Israeli, and you wouldn't want to miss it.
So up next is Tarzan's Take. My name is Stephen Enti.
And my name, as always, is Marian Ture. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.
And thanks for staying with us.